One of the things you'll notice about the authoritarian regimes, and this doesn't necessarily matter if it's fascist or not, although fascism is very very good at this stuff. Um, which is the idea of any idea that you have that is positive, they'll turn ultimately into a negative. So, take for example the last round called demographic roundup, where the idea of people announcing that they're gay on Facebook or as part of their coming out process was a bad thing because they were feeding their information to the NSA supercomputers. Well, actually, they were, and it is a bad thing because there has been actually been people who've been trying to address the warning signs of encroaching in authoritarianism since before the advent of the internet being a common consumer product. Okay, so that's sort of like before the mid 1990s. There's been people that's been talking about this stuff for a long time, and the debates have been more or less contained within the basically the rhetoric of the English language and the type of cultural constructs that are available to imperial societies. Nonetheless, the debates are not new. They are at least the 1800s. In fact, if you look at history, they're a long time before that. They go as far back as probably as people doing graffiti in ancient Rome and saying "fuck the Führer." Oh wait, no, the Emperor. Anyway, fuck, funculo Caesar. Cesario, funculo Cesario, with some paint or something like that. I mean, Monty Python made fun of it in the '70s, so they were onto something then. But anyway, with that particular debate, I mean, apparently freedom of expression is a crime. Okay, so if somebody comes out and says that they're gay, which by the way, if we're talking about consenting adults, it's actually not anyone's business. It's really not anyone's business. So the only thing that they've done there probably is tell people other things that they don't need to know. Okay, they've overshared. And it's not because the people listening should be punishing them for being gay or anything like that. That's not the issue. People overshare being straight all the time. Oh look, we're getting married. Oh look at the pretty dress we've got. We've just spent $50,000 on the wedding. We've said $60,000 on the honeymoon to Bali and whatever it is doing and stuff like that. So people don't care. People overshare that on social media what they had for breakfast. They overshare that they had diarrhea. Heck, even this one's overshared by telling you they had scabies. The point of the matter is that there are certain kinds of oversharing that people are comfortable with and not comfortable with your body language. Your bodily functions such as pooping and peeing and jacking off or jilling off or having boyfriends or girlfriends or more probably worded man friends and woman friends. It's probably classified as oversharing in old school social mores. The thing is though, is that oversharing type of behaviour is that that's a reaction to it is genuine reaction to the stifling lack of freedom of expression that they commonly associated with 1950s whiteness. Without being rude to white people, it's associated with 1950s whiteness. The people that were in missions were being subjected to that whiteness. And to be fair, in the cultures they had before that, they were in a stifling, control-based dynamic where they freaking so much as said boo to their elders in some cases, depending on what type of elders they had. They could have been pulled by the ear holes and whipped with a stick. Okay, so this idea of strictness of the older generation we'll probably find is statistical. It's probably not all of the older generations that are like that. It's just some of them, and certain types of cultural practices, including and perhaps especially Christianity, and also the alternatives that they're provided for that, which are, let's face it, just as bad, if not worse, depending on how you look at it. And it appears to be about stifling people's freedom of expression and abusing people for having identities. So with that, it's sort of like the idea of coming out for a gay person is kind of a big deal because it's just come to fruition in the last 15 years in Anglophone countries that not only are you not going to be killed for being gay, but most people will go, oh, you're getting married, so what? Which is the exact reaction you need. So what? That is the legitimate exact reaction. That is the correct reaction. So what? You're considering adults, you're doing it in the privacy of your bedroom. So what? So what? Is the perfect reaction. Oh, You're black. So what? Is it relevant to the situation that you're in? If it's not, then so what? You're what? So what? Okay. The oh, you're male or female. So what? Um, unless it's actually relevant to the debate at hand, so what? So with the American cult, with their overemphasis on relegating themselves to mere demographics, and fairly limited ones with that. Some people have come in and said, oh, they've got a sympathy-seeking culture where there's a bunch, in particular with the autism thing. So with the autism thing, there's a whole bunch of people who are going around saying that they're autistic when they're probably not. And it's also the case that with people who are autistic, technically for a lot of those people, it's a diagnosis of Darvo in disguise, due to the world actually being too loud. And hugs, to use a stereotype, being uncomfortable. I mean, it's we're in a cultural custom where we're coming out of a situation where a mere handshake could be classified as sexual harassment. If you didn't shake a hand properly back in the day, oh gosh, you could be a poofter, which means you have to be thrown off a bloody cliff. It's beyond a freaking joke. I mean, in India, you've got grown men who are best friends who swing each other by the pinky, and everyone goes, so what? They're just best friends. Okay, we're definitely in a Kierkegaardian type situation here, where social media has revealed the flaws of society once again, and point by point of comparison. And we've got all these different types of media, which are in some cases telling bald-faced fucking lies as part of an imperial agenda, which basically serves the interests of corporations and not the people in either society. We don't know, for example, how much of the stories that come out of China are true. In a similar way, we don't know how many times the stories that come out of the United States are true. We're relying on, in this case, reporting is coming from people who have American accents, who say they live in the United States of America, who appear to be regularly making videos and other forms of commentary to describe what they're observing over there. And in some cases, they do actually have some kind of qualification to comment. In the case of the guy called Hawk's podcast, he says on his bio that he's actually a lawyer. In which case, if he's concerned there's a constitutional crisis in that country, he's probably got a lot of professional reason for it. And so that's a bit more troubling to hear someone say that than say perhaps somebody who fixes cars. If someone was fixing cars and they said they were concerned that the government fleet that Donald Trump was using had been mass manufactured by a company that was in leagues with a country that was planning to destabilize the United States of America and possibly put bombs in the chassis or something like that, then you go, okay. Yeah, okay. Mechanic, what's your reasoning argument for that? Okay, that's how a car works, is it? That's how that type of car he's driving works, is it? That's who the company is that's doing it. Oh, okay, and those people associated with them. Oh, and you actually saw somebody take it in TNT and some straps to Jane into the mechanical workshop. Okay, and you go, which is the kind of thing you hear from those political podcasters. They're providing stuff like that of the constitutional variant. So you go, sounds legit. Okay? Sounds legit. Okay. Now, that's a problem with these title stuff and stuff like that. We actually have no proof that man actually has legal qualifications at all. I mean, if he's in his mid-50s and is a lawyer, why does he have the time to make about 5 or 6 podcasts or videos a day? I mean, usually lawyers are working 18-hour shifts and sleeping 4 hours a day and living on cocaine, aren't they? I mean, so what's the deal with that? I mean, it sounds like it's not particularly believable. I mean, say this physical body, for example, they actually do have a social science degree with a psych major, but they've never practiced. That creates, that's like in a professional setting. So that other than some forms of work before the disability is set in. So if there was some kind of sort of like focus on titles and accolades and acclaims and awards and stuff like that, prestige, labelling theory and stuff like that, then the labelling transfers to other situations sometimes as well. Okay, being queer is a good thing now, is it? Okay, it's a good thing. Okay, do you perceive that there's some kind of favour being shown to groups that were previously minority groups, to use the American term, or groups that were disaffected or maltreated or disadvantaged by systemic abuse, violence, and discrimination? Do you think that's favourable? Do you? Well, then you're the fucking right wing. You're not the left wing. You're the right wing. Okay, isn't it the right wing that tries to claim that if you say that black people have the right to vote, that the white man is being discriminated against? That you're showing undue favour to the black people by doing that? Okay, well, actually, what's really behind all that stuff is that the great virus that we're all experiencing, they're calling it COVID-19, but sometimes you might just get the vague impression that the virus we're actually experiencing, and they're calling it that, is what? You don't know the difference between pleasure and pain. You don't know the difference between favour and removal of an adverse stimuli. Okay, so the operant conditioning of humanity is screwed. Okay, it's been screwed by capitalism, it's been screwed by Christianity, it's been screwed by Masonry, it's been screwed by the feudal system and the Industrial Revolution and capitalism alike. It was screwed by communism as well. It's been screwed by authoritarianism. And how is it screwed? Through misapplication of operant conditioning. Every day, in every single way, it's nothing but sexism and misogyny from this man called mankind. Okay, right? In the form of what? It's always the end of the fucking world. Every single day, in every single way, it's always the end of the world. It's always World War III, because we've already had World War II and World War I. It's always the apocalypse. It's always the end of days. Everyone's waiting for the Messiah. Why do it's that death cult fucking shit all over again. So what you're seeing throughout society is the great true meaning of apocalypse is revelation. That's why it's called the Book of Revelation. You are seeing revealed before your very eyes just how much hypocrisy you've got, how it is fucking everywhere. Everyone has it in spades. Okay? We're supposedly coming out of our proverbial closets and engaging in more self-expression than ever before, but that's not true, because we're not even ourselves. Again, we're living frauds and we're living lies like the system expected us to and forced upon us without our free will and consent. Okay, the other thing too is that lack of genuine free expression. Okay, you look at all the different ways that people try to have free expression. They try to have free expression by saying, "Look, we need you to be a bit more patient because that one doesn't understand pronouns. We'll test them. Hey, autistic person, do you understand pronouns? Wait, you understand them actually correctly." Okay, so what's going on with the pronouns? It's object-subject confusion that was caused by the aristocratic court ruling in 1450. Okay then. Oh, that's Darbo. Then we'll let that one go. Okay. What about all these other things? Oh, you have to come out as queer, do you? Why? It's not anyone else's business. As long as you're not hurting anyone, no one cares. Wasn't it the argument for the queer rights movement? Consenting adults should love each other and no one's business. Stop giving a shit about it. Let them live their lives. Remove some of the systemic discrimination there, like, marriage laws or whatever, fair enough. Okay, because that does have a genuine consequence, including for heterosexual and asexual tenants. Anyway, in some situations. Okay? Oh, okay, so there was a legal discrimination going on there, okay? And the movement was about, don't give a shit if they're gay or not. Then why in the United States of America did they announce? Okay? It's not embarrassing to people who are not gay to see that, okay? There's no shame in them being gay, okay? It's more the point is if it isn't meant to be a private thing for you and you want people to butt out, then don't tell them. And so we're not shaming you for doing that. We're just saying the context in which you've done it historically does in fact have that issue of the Patriot Act, of Facebook and Mark Zuckerberg working with the NSA about it being a data mining system along with Twitter and other forms of social media to that end, for them to engage in their false demographics and their social research in a way that is considered unethical by people who are actually qualified in social research, as it turns out. And also intended as some kind of like ideological dragnet for a greater or lesser, depending on your point of view, ideological and esoteric context, which involves these other things that, ironically, the idea is coming from the Christians, and it's called the beast machine. Okay, so this beast machine, you want to tear out and say that's not the devil, but it's just people who have this really nasty tendency to turn everything you positively do into a negative. It's positive for you to self-express in a way that's safe and meaningful for you and for the others. Is that not positive? Okay, of course it's positive. Is it not positive to be artistic and creative and to bring joy and happiness to other people's lives as much as possible? Of course it is. Is it not positive to engage in intellectual debates so that each can think about and to form their own opinions? Yes, it is. Okay, but we're at the point, though, where we're not necessarily forming our own opinions so much as we're expressing and repeating the opinions of others. And at that point, we're in a regurgitation mode. So we're acting like basically we're in a 1950s school, okay, where we've got operant conditioning where the government says, you type that tweet with your left hand. You're not allowed to tweet with your left hand. You're only allowed to tweet with your right hand. No tweeting with your left hand. Tweet with your right hand. The left hand is a devil's hand.